from a teacher earning $5,000 a month to earning over $1.2 million in a short 3 years span. All of this and more you're going to learn in this episode of the Modern Wealth Podcast. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to our Modern Wealth Podcast, where we aim to empower, enrich and evolve your lives. We invite guests who will share with you strategies on empowering your life to change your life financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, you name it. We have some brilliant friends of mine who will come through to share with you all actionable strategies. And today, we have a very, very dear friend of mine. You know, his story is impeccable. His story will inspire you. His story will touch you. His story will move you out of your comfort zone. And he's my friend, Sean Chua. He actually is an investor, right? Primarily a property investor who owns multi-millions of dollars in property. But the very, very interesting thing was he started off as a normal civil servant, you know, working as a teacher just only 4 years ago. But he broke out of the shell as an employee working in the government sector, earning a bare, $5,000 a month, to actually growing to a multi-million-dollar portfolio, which is absolutely amazing. So if you are watching and you're an employee working in a government sector, whatever it is, and you really, truly want to break out, this interview, you need to pay attention. So without further ado, let's welcome Sean. Sean, thank you for coming aboard, brother.
Thank you.
Right, really, thank you so much. I'm very, very excited to have you here. So for those people who don't know you, can you just give a brief introduction about yourself? Who are you and how do you get started in this journey, man?
Okay, hi, I'm Sean. I was a teacher. I taught for 6.5 years in a secondary school. PE, math, this very popular combo. I was a teacher in charge also of the cross-country team.
Okay.
So I was very passionate about what I do. I spend a lot of time with my students. In fact, I go above and beyond to make sure that they don't just come in as a they don't just treat a CCA like maybe just a little bit more context. So I was a teacher. I was tasked to take up a CCA that captures all the dropouts. Those people who doesn't want to go for CCA. So they came to me. So I was just supposed to be in charge of a CCA where people doesn't want to go for CCA. But because they are called track and field, and it's actually one of my passion. So I transform it from a recreation CCA to a competitive one.
Oh, wow.
And within a couple of years, in fact, I think 2 years, they went from nothing to top 4 in national schools. Yeah, so that's what I do year in and out. And then I realized that, a lot of my students, they came in mediocre, average, neighborhood school, right? And when they graduated, they went to top schools, they went to elite schools, they go to courses of their choices. So I added value in their lives, right? And that's what I do. And why I even want to do that is because I used to have teachers who are as passionate or even more passionate. And so I benefited from it personally, and that's why I wanted to give back, right? But year in and out, when I start doing that, I realized that what about me? Because as much as my students are progressing from average to top notch, but me as a teacher, I'm getting paid about the same. There's not much progression. All I seek for back then was just maybe better PB, so give me a little bit more in terms of bonus, right? Or give me a little bit of promotion so that I can get a little bit more, because I don't give tuition, I don't coach outside. I just spend all my time with my students, for my students. But what I got in return is just lack of recognition.
It's very interesting. I think many people will be able to relate, right?
Yeah.
Where they are filling everybody's cup except for their own.
Exactly.
Right? Where you're going above and beyond in your work, but you hardly see any return.
Yes.
Right? And then you think to yourself after a while, like, what the hell, man? I'm helping everybody else except for myself.
Yeah.
So you were caught in this conundrum, right? Where you're like, what do I do? But bro, some context, you were... So, guys, just to share with you guys something, right? So, I actually first got to know Sean when he was one of the students in our value investing program, right? So I was actually, a speaker. I was teaching on value investing and all that. I still remember very clearly him and his wife sitting down. So back then you were a teacher.
2019, yes, I was still teaching.
Yeah, 2019. This was pre-COVID and everything, very, very clearly. International Plaza.
Yes.
That's when you first met. You came up, you said hi. You were very, very distinct. It was very memorable, right? But you were a man on a mission. So when did the seeds get planted? How did the seeds get planted of, dude, I need to get out of this rat race. I need to get out and do something for myself. Like, when did this get planted? How did it get planted?
I think because I live very far from work. So every day as I'm driving to school, I listen to podcasts.
Okay.
And then, you have the Jim Rohn, you have the Tony Robbins. Yeah. And they're just like washing my brains every morning and every day after school.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that kind of helped. And
so it was like, So this is very, very important, right? So again, guys, this is something that I practice every day as well. Literally, no joke. Even before I came here today as well, right? So, like, on your drive and everything, you were listening. Right?
Yeah.
Not listening to junk,
exactly.
right? But actually listening to, inspiring podcasts. He mentioned some names, some legends, right? People like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. And these people were subconsciously putting seeds in your head.
Yes.
That anything is possible. You are meant for greatness.
Yes.
You can go above and beyond, right?
Yeah.
And all these seeds got planted, and you listen and listen. You thought to yourself, why not? Huh?
No, actually, I did that so that I can get some inspiration, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
For my students.
For your
Because
students,
I was a coach, right? So I needed to make sure I'm hyped up. I go to school, I teach the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
somehow, I think the content really transformed me to somebody else, which I don't even know, right?
Interesting.
And I think, in school, in teaching, it's not what you think it is, right? As much as we are there to do a job for the students, to help them, but there's actually a lot of politics, behind the scene. Yeah. And I'm the last person who likes politics or want to get involved in all this. But it just happened to me, At that point, I was very down. And I was already like on the verge, thinking to myself, what should I do? I'm at crossroad. I'm not progressing. The PB that I want, I don't get. The promotion that I want, they don't give. And then they even tell me, okay, since you are thinking of leaving, maybe let me tell you what, actually, we have already kind of like we had plans to make you to give you some appointment. So they tell me to take on the acting role, right? Then I found out that wow, actually, why do they need to put me on that? Because I've been in the school for 6.5 years. They know my style and they know me, right? So why must they like buy more time, before they even give me the promotion? It's already long overdue. Then came, the politics and whatnot, and then I got dragged into the whole thing, and then I think that was the last straw. Yeah, I was very angry at that point, but I must thank the person that did that to me, because without that, right, I would probably still be in teaching today.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, audience watching as well, be able to relate, right?
Yes.
To workplace politics, toxic environment and everything. So that one push was like the last straw to say enough is enough, right? But dude, can I ask you a question? So when you decided to leave, actually, dude, so give me some context, right?
Yeah.
Was there a option B? Do you leave just like that? Or do you already have some, leeway to go?
Yeah.
Like give the audience some context, brother.
Okay, so interestingly, as I was seeking, I came across a course, right? So there was this pretty lady doing some preview.
Okay.
So we attended her free preview at International Plaza as well.
Yes, sir.
And then after that, we thought to ourselves, wow, this, what is she trying to sell, right? At that point, it was how do you get $1,005 passive income? So I didn't know it was real estate related, so I just went for it, right? Then it turned out to be a property investment course.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's by iQuadrant.
Okay.
Yeah, so the pretty lady was Jermaine.
Cool.
Yeah, so we got to know her then when we were just teaching. And then we thought that, wow, the content she shared was very similar to what I read in Rich Dad Poor Dad. And $3,000 for a course that time was a lot of money. It was like easily our take-home pay, for 1 month. But we decided to just go with it lah. So me and my colleague back then, we just jumped onto it. Yeah, and then the rest was history after that.
Seriously, the rest was history.
The rest was history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember attending the course in February 2019.
Okay.
And yeah, it blew my mind. Everything about financial literacy and property investment and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah. It just blew my mind, right? But I told myself, hey, if I'm going to spend so much money on a course, I better make it worth it, man.
Yeah.
So immediately after the course, I jumped into action. I went on hunting for properties, and that's how I got started.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you then? You were still going to you were still teaching, lah.
I was still teaching.
Okay, you're still teaching, but at the same time, after work and whatever, you go look for properties, you go hunt for deals and everything.
So we were looking for industrial property, and industrial property people work like between 9 to 5, and that's the only time you can view. And then as a teacher, there's no way you can like take leave. The only time you can go and see property is probably during a holiday. But interestingly, because we teach in Woodlands, so in between our break time, right, we'll just go to the industrial properties nearby to shop for it. Yeah, so we make use of whatever time we have, right?
Wow. No excuses.
No excuses. Yeah. Like Friday is a half day, so we will squeeze out some time, before CC or what, just to go and see some properties.
Wow.
So within like 3 months, we saw more than 100 units.
Wow.
And we made some offers, and some of them came back, and then the stars aligned, and that's how we got started.
Can you share me about maybe the first one that you got, right? Like, it's always that first egg is always the hardest to crack. I feel, right? So if you remember, what was the first kind of property you got into? What's the kind of capital you needed and stuff like that?
So the very first property that came back was I think a $780,000 B1 industrial property. Yeah, I mean we seen more than hundreds, and then eventually made some offers, and then eventually that one came back, the right price, everything. So we decided to go for it, right? Well, I would say that it's
Where was this?
Trade Hub 21.
Okay, Trade Hub 21. Okay.
Trade Hub 21.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, we could still take a 90% loan. So that means 10% of it works out to be about $70,000-$80,000, including stamp duties and GST.
Yes.
Works out to be about 100K.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, as a teacher, I don't have 100K lah, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah,
100,000. Like, honestly, like, it's a lot of money, right?
A lot of money. Yeah. I worked for 6.5 years, and I don't even see like 6 figure in my bank account.
It's quite sad.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But also because at that point we were just trying to pay off our HDB. Yeah. So whatever money we have, what in our CPF, in our bank account, we'll just empty them and just try to pay off, because we don't like the idea of debt.
Of course.
Yeah. But of course, after attending some courses, then we realized that, hey, debt can be good. Yeah. But
let's talk about that later. But
yeah. That's another story, right? Yeah. So 100K. No way I can have 100K, right? So we started looking around for people who has money. Yeah. So I didn't want to be conformed to the finite resources that I had. So I had to be resourceful. Yeah. So I had to go around looking for people who has money, probably in a bank account that is not making much, or maybe at that point fixed D was only 1-2%. So we offered 3%. Yeah. And they happily just came in to become our investor.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you actually went to go and search and source for cash investors.
Yes.
And then you offer them basically more than the fixed deposit rates and whatever not.
Yes.
Right, better return lah, right?
Correct.
Rather than sitting in the bank account and whatever not. But of course they have to trust you and everything, bro. You think, as in, so easy, man?
There are challenges, but I think it helped because I was a teacher then.
Okay.
And then the moment I tell them, hey, I'm a teacher, and then they just okay, I trust you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a tip. But okay. Don't say I'm a teacher, not a teacher. But okay, cool.
Yeah, don't abuse that. Okay.
So, but basically, so was their first property, no money down, or do you have some money down, or what do you do?
No money down.
No money down.
Yeah. So
Wow.
everything that I have to down pay, I raised. Yeah.
Okay.
I raised funds for that.
Okay.
And that's how we eventually.
And how do you structure a deal such that it benefits all parties when it was no money down for you?
I think it's about creating win-win.
Yep.
So, you know, a simple thing like offering them interest rate higher than fixed D is already a win-win for most people, I would say.
Okay.
But of course, those who are a little bit more savvy,
Yep.
they will ask for equity. So, yeah, we just give them a percentage of the property in terms of equity. Lah. That
Okay.
means they are also in it with us.
Yep.
If we lose money, they will also lose money.
money,
If
yeah.
we make money, they will also make money.
Of course, of course.
Yeah,
For
so,
sure.
and it gives them a sense of like ownership to the
Okay.
property as well.
Of course, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So what was in it for you, bro? So like you gave a higher return than fixed D, and then you own, as in you basically were the loan bearer?
Yes, I was a loan bearer
Okay,
because at that point I already fully pay off my HDB,
Okay,
my
okay.
car, so I was debt free at that
Okay,
point.
okay.
So I could take loan,
Okay.
but I was cashless.
Cashless. Okay. Because you
That's
pay
what I
off
did.
everything, right?
Yeah, I pay off everything.
Okay. So there are generally three components in a deal, correct? Not like
Yeah.
there's the person who brings up, as in a cash investor, the loan bearer, and what else, bro? As in, yeah,
Cash
basically
investor,
the
loan barrier. Yeah, basically that's
okay,
it.
okay,
Yeah,
cash bearer and it's in the cash investor and the loan bearer, right? So
Correct.
you basically took up the loan, got the entire thing, and of course, okay, great. And then was that meant for cash flow, or what was the whole idea?
Oh, so the idea was to have the 1,005 passive income, right?
Okay.
That was why we attended the course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was for the 1,005 passive income.
Okay.
And of course, as soon as I got my first, I realized that, because I don't use my own money, right? Then after I divide everything, actually not much lah.
Yeah.
Not much left. Yeah.
So
So
how much was left actually per se?
a couple of hundreds.
Couple hundred dollars,
Yeah,
okay.
a month lah.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course it looks good because from starting with my first, I realized that if I can own the whole thing myself, actually it's very easy for it to become an income replacement. Yeah, and of course after I got my third one, right, immediately we saw that it already exceeded how much we take home
Oh,
every
seriously,
month.
for real, man?
Yeah.
Wow. So the first one after minusing was nothing much. But the second and third one, bro, did you again find for cash investors or?
Yes, the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So we in order for us to scale, we definitely need to get cash investors. Yeah, in. Yeah. So the second one we had like $2,000 passive income. The third one is also about 1,000. Yeah. So I mean the conceptually we finally understood what it means by cash flow. Yeah. But because they are all shared. With other investors. So by the time we cut everything out, not much left. Not much left. But the idea was there. And that's how we start to grow in other ways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's how you slowly started building. And what do you manage to build it up to, bro?
So after our third industrial property, it was also about time that my HDB MOPs already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, myself and my wife, we were very confused. Like, what should we do, man? Upon MOP, right? Should we pay the ABSD? At that point, it was 12%, right? Should we pay ABSD, buy another property? Should we sell our property? Should we lease or whatever? A lot of questions. But after getting clarity, right, we knew we had to sell. Yeah, because we had so much funds, because we fully paid our HDB, right? It was 365K 3-room flat at Dawson. And if we were to sell it in the resale market, it's about 700K. So we know that when we sell it at 700K, full 700K cash and CPF will come back to us.
Wow.
A lot of money is stuck in the property lah.
Of course.
And there I have to go, begging people for that 100K just to get
exactly.
one. If I sell and I free up 700K, I can buy 7.
Wow.
Yeah. So no brainer, sell. Yeah.
So you sold lah.
I sold. We sold our HDB.
But you need a place to stay, ma. So do you lease? Do you buy another one immediately? What was the step, bro?
So we rented
Okay.
at that point,
Okay.
because we also understood that there's a spectrum of people who buy property. On one end is people who buy for like a home and they don't care whether they make or lose money. On the other spectrum is people who buy just to make money. So ever since we understood what real estate could do for us, right? Full on investment. Yeah, because why do we need to buy a place to stay, right? I think that is something that we kind of like gotten over already. Yeah. So after selling Dawson, we free up our funds. We split up. We bought 2 private property, Sterling and Normanton Park.
Oh wow, so
Yeah,
you got two different, so under each of your names. lah.
yeah,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
So we wanted to free up our names, free up our funds,
Yep.
and the most optimized way is to buy one each.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point we just split up and then we buy one each, right?
Okay.
Then of course, where do we have to stay? We had to rent lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you got these two properties and you rented it out lah. Was it for positive cash flow as well, or were you like bleeding a bit, or?
So it was still building under construction.
Oh, it was bare construction.
At that point.
So it was a
Yeah.
new launch, ah.
It was new launch.
Okay.
Yeah. So no cash flow.
Okay.
More like the 700K that we got
you
out from
put
our
up.
property. We
Okay.
just split the
Yes,
funds,
yes,
keep
yes.
aside that 100K,
Yep.
so that we can rent for the next 4 years while
Okay.
it's still building.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, we got a 2-bedder.
Okay.
For just like 2,003 per month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just before COVID.
Ah.
Yeah, just before COVID.
Okay. So you're renting and everything. Explain the concept, bro. So I've heard so many gurus and everything talk about this concept,
Yeah.
which is, rent what you own what you rent.
Oh yeah.
Like, can you explain and maybe because again the Asian mindset doesn't understand like
Yeah.
generally, right?
Yeah.
But can you explain that concept and why that is a powerful concept, bro?
Okay, yeah. So you see, if you stay where you buy, right, then that asset is no longer an asset. It's a liability, right? Because every month you have to pay money just to stay there. But if it can make money for you, then it becomes an asset. Unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in Singapore, when home ownership is so high, everybody think that they're owning an asset. But if that home, that property that they're living in is not making them money and they still got to go to work every single day, then it's a liability. Yeah, because they still got to pay their mortgage, Most of them, they pay up to like age 60, 65. And then, then what, right? Yeah, so that's the issue with most people. But of course, if you know how to optimize to free up cash and to cash out or to make your asset work hard, make money for you, that becomes an asset, right? Yeah. So, wait, I got a bit lost. So what's your question again?
No, the own what you
Own. Okay.
own what you rent what you own.
So, in this case, my example, right? Just my example, yeah. Because I rented where I stay.
Yeah.
I paid 2,003
Yep.
every month.
Yep.
That place was worth about $1 million at that point when I was renting, right? If I were to own that place
Yep.
at $1 million, it was a 2-bedder, my monthly mortgage will work out to be about almost $4,000.
Yep.
3,000 plus,
3,000
plus your property tax, maintenance, is about $4,000. So my cost of living is $4,000 if I were to stay in where I buy. But because I rented, I pay only 2,003. Yeah, so I half it, right? And when I buy to invest, of course I didn't know how much returns I'll be getting lah. Yeah, it's only like a few years later when I sell, then I realized, oh, okay, this is my kind of profit. But at that point, I was just estimating it to be maybe another 200K kind of profit over the next 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, if I don't sell, if I were to lease my property out, my property that I bought at 1.38, 1.3 million, the mortgage and everything, will works out to be about $4,000. So in order for me to like break even all my mortgage, maintenance and property tax, right, I need to lease my property for $4,000 just to like cover the cost. So again, if I were to stay in the property I buy, I need $4,000. But if I were to lease it out to someone else will be paying that $4,000 for me, while I stay somewhere else that is cheaper, like almost half the cost.
Almost half the cost.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand the concept. So dude, I think a lot of people are wondering, right? So you build it up to your properties wise. You at one point, I think, as in you build up to was it 8 properties, 8 or 9?
7.
Seven properties, right?
yeah.
So you had about 7 properties, right? So people hear, again, the average Joe who hears it, Singaporean has 7 properties.
Yeah,
Or sometimes
yeah.
you hear people, 15, 20 properties, for example, right? So, are they like, at a particular point, you will no longer be able to take on any more debt, any more like loans, for example, right? So, what is the threshold, man, right? Because people talk about ABSD, right? Like obviously after one property, residential, for example, there's ABSD and stuff, right? So how do, like, give us the general background. I mean, if somebody says, oh, I have 15 properties, 20 properties, how is that usually done, and with what what kind of properties are they doing it with?
Okay, so the properties that requires paying of ABSD is just residential property in Singapore. So as long as we don't own more than one, we will not kena ABSD lah.
Okay. So you're talking about more commercial, industrial, and maybe overseas as well.
Overseas, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we just diversify.
But even with industrial and commercial, right? At some point, you won't be able to take on. The banks will be like, dude, you're done. Right? So at what point will banks say you're done? You cannot take on any more loans and whatever not, bro? Can you give us a rough estimate? Like how do they judge that? At what point can you not take on any more?
It's very much tied down to TDSR.
Okay.
Yeah. So your income.
Explain that, bro. Explain what's TDSR and everything.
Okay. TDSR is a total debt servicing ratio.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, at that point, about 60% of your income can be used to pay any kind of loan, mortgage, study loan, and car loan.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to max out your TDSR, then make sure you clear off your credit card, car loan, everything. Yeah, it should not be there, so that you can really just focus on buying property. Yeah. So at that point, after buying my first industrial property, I thought, wow, that's it. My TDSR, that's gone, finished. But because the industrial property was leased, right? So the rental income of about $4,000 kind of add on to my income.
Okay, income.
Yeah, my income. So my income at that point was about 5,000. So then they add on another 4,000 to my income. So my TDSR was not totally destroyed after my first.
Okay.
And that's
because it's leased. Okay.
Because it's leased.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I realized that I still have more, a little bit more to buy my second and third. Yeah. In fact, my third was not even under my name. My third was shared with another partner.
Okay.
Yeah. So he used his name. Yeah.
Okay, so he used his name and then you basically partners, right? So again, that's how you share. Okay, wow.
Yeah, that's how we go around that whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So there's no limits per se. Right?
In a way. Like especially now that we are self-employed, right? You know that it's unlimited.
Yes,
yeah.
literally, right?
Yeah.
The world is an oyster almost.
Yes,
Pretty
yes,
much
yes.
crazy. So dude, so tell us about so after you left, you became an investor,
Yeah.
right? You started investing quite extensively. That was a viable option to replace your income,
Yeah.
right? But then you went on and you built your company as well, right? So today you own a house makeover, right? So tell us a bit about that and how did that come around? How do you help your clients? How do you help your customers and stuff?
So interestingly, after I left teaching in 2019, I didn't leave with a plan. To me, it's like I know I need to get out so that I can really do something different, and because I sold my place, I got some cash in the bank also lah. So that kind of like gave me some kind of security, right? But guess what? 2020 COVID hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then I had like 6 properties under my belt. All my tenants came to us and say can they not pay, or some of them don't want to pay because at that point the government was giving like rental relief, right?
Correct.
But the instruction was not clear. Yeah, then we still have to pay the bank, we still have to pay the property tax and everything.
Must have been scary, huh?
Yeah, but the tenant don't want to pay rent.
Wow.
So, and then I left my job. My wife was also at that point a real estate agent. So she also left her job in 2019. She was a stewardess before that.
Yeah.
It was very scary. Yeah. So instead of taking a break during circuit breaker, we work very hard every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, wake up at 7 and we won't work more than 12 hours every day.
Work on what, bro?
Work on what? So at that point, my wife was a real estate agent.
Sure.
I was jobless, man. Yeah. So I had to help her with her real estate business lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going around trying to see how we can create content, help her to reach out to clients and whatever not. But there's limited stuff I can do. Yeah. And then we record. At that point when we sold our HDB, we actually kind of like decorated our place. And then came COVID, right? Some of my tenants' business went bust. So they have to get out, right? And I have to find new tenants. So what we did was we kind of like went into our own industrial property. We decorated the place, make it nice, make it attractive. And then we managed to find another tenant who is willing to pay higher rent.
Wow.
Yeah. And then guess what? A few months later, the tenant went bust again.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have to do the same thing. And then we managed to find another tenant that pays higher again.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course, looking back, we are very grateful that with every tenant that leaves, we managed to find another tenant that is willing to pay higher.
Okay.
Yeah. So it really stress tests the investment criteria that we used when we entered. Yeah. Which is very important, because without that criteria, right, I think we will really get into big trouble.
Of course. Interesting.
Yeah.
So your ability to make over per se was something that was good.
Exactly.
So you extended it not just to your properties but other clients as well?
Yeah, so we start off with ourselves, then we see the value in it, and then we go on to extend that to my wife's clients, and those who engage her for selling.
Okay.
And then eventually, it became bigger and bigger, and that's how House Makeover came about.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's really, so you all do what, renovation, staging? Like what exactly is the services?
So the whole idea is to make the place look good on photo, video, and of course when people come in for the open house, they cannot feel like, hey, I'm being cheated by the photo and video and looks so different on the ground. So we had to make the whole place looks presentable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit like turning it into show flat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
Okay.
And yeah, it just took off.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that became a whole new business and stream of income as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I hear that you're full up, like you have a lot of different homes they are helping to do currently right now. Yeah?
So a lot of our clients, they they're first time landlords, right? So they bought a place for investment. But after collecting keys, they have no idea what to do, despite us even having a course teaching them, hey, these are the things from step 1 to 16, what are the things you need to do, right? After that, they're still lost, right? So we thought, okay, why not we just do everything for them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So done for you service per se lah.
Exactly. Do for you. It's a turnkey solution.
Turnkey solution.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Right. So again, like, Sean actually teaches this stuff, like, how you can do it for yourself, right? But also he also provides, the service as well, a turnkey solution with regards to they can do for you lah, right? His entire team basically can do it for you to make up the entire place, to essentially make it optimal for selling or to actually get higher rent, for example. And guys, if you want to check it out, go to his Instagram, right? Either the Life Educator or the House Makeover, HAUS, right? Go and check it out on Instagram so you can actually find out more information. Guys, if you like this episode so far, make sure you smash the like button, make sure you subscribe to our page, and please leave some questions below if you want to ask anything to Sean as well, all right? So I think there's a lot of fears when it comes to property, right? I think one of the biggest fears, very simply, is this, right? Like, hey, shit, man, wow, I take on so much, debt, for example. I have all these different mortgages to pay. Then suddenly, my tenants all gone. I hear people going bankrupt. So there's a lot of this fear, right? And again, it's I hear all these people suddenly go bankrupt. Suddenly interest rates increase, for example, right? Like recently, interest rates actually go up. Wow, suddenly I have to pay so much more. Then now I'm negative and I'm bleeding every month and all that fears. Are these real things, or how did you deal with them? Because you are in this light yourself, right? You went through this period recently where interest rate increase and all that stuff. So did it affect you? How does one protect themselves in a way?
Of course, I think it's very stressed during that period.
Sure.
But as an athlete, right? I think we had the advantage, right?
Sure.
Every time we go for competition, it's stressful. So I think that helps, in terms of how to cope with the stress.
Sure.
So at that point, I think instead of just feeling stressed and doing nothing about it, we really work our ass off, man. Yeah, every day we wake up at 7 and then we sleep at 12. We work, we grind. Try to come up with ways, solutions. Of course, a property investment is something that I was handling. Managing my tenants. Then, of course, my wife's side, she's into real estate. So we just got to take care of both sides, right?
So you got to make sure, so what you're telling me is that you got to make sure you also have your cash flow as well, right? To make sure that you can tide through times and everything. Is there a guideline that you give yourself, right? Like how much of a timeline or how much cash you need to have in reserve to make sure in case of any downturn you can survive through? Is there any guide?
So at that point, we set aside about 100K for rental, and for paying all these mortgages and whatever, not in case something happened. And thankfully, my wife's side also, because I must say she did well in her first year, and that's why I also had the courage to jump out of my career, right? We took turns to jump out of our career. Yeah, so we really planned for that properly as a couple. We didn't just jump out without a plan. I mean, when she was in real estate, I was still teaching stable income, although $5,000, but it's still better than nothing.
Sure.
And then eventually she stabilizes, and then I make my jump.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we help each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some, some parts where you were maybe like, at the lowest point where you were stressed out of your mind, where you didn't know if there was a solution, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about those parts, man, because again, like, I always believe that, those dark moments are what defines us, right? We learn best from our failures, not our victories, right?
Yeah.
So if you could, dig deeper into a point of time where it was damn bloody, wow. Tell us about that, man.
Yeah, so I think I'm somebody who doesn't just just get stuck. I'll just keep moving forward. So at that point when tenants stop paying, and then we have zero income, we just keep working, And I think as we keep moving forward, we saw the light. Like my wife had a breakthrough when she sold a property during COVID. It was a resale property that that people cannot step foot to see. We had to sell it over Zoom.
Exactly.
But thankfully, we already did the makeover before that. We had photo, video, 360s of the whole thing, right?
Yep.
So we sold it over Zoom without viewing.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like the first breakthrough. Then, of course, came other closings where investors just buy the property without viewing as well. So that kind of like gave us confidence also in terms of cash flow. And then from the investment front also, because we managed to find tenants who are willing to pay higher eventually, that gave us a boost in terms of confidence. And of course, I had to manage my cash investors. At the same time, they were all like jumping, hey, what happened? Because when tenants don't pay, when tenants go bankrupt, I need to update them.
Of course, for sure.
And then when we give such negative news, then people start jumping. But I think I also give them the assurance that I'll be handling it. Yeah. So the trust that they gave me, that they entrust onto me, I think was very important as well. They give me the space to work, and of course I make sure I deliver.
I think if I could summarize what you said in one sentence, right, is to keep taking the steps.
Yeah,
right?
baby steps.
You just got to keep taking the steps, right? So even in the darkest moments, even when you are down, and I can relate to this so much, right? See, in the end of the day, if you just get frozen, nothing changes, nothing happens, right?
Yes.
But if you just keep taking the steps forward, you keep the faith, right? You keep the fighting faith, you keep, doing what needs to be done, right? Like, God will take care of you. There will be provision that actually comes. There will be breakthroughs that you will see, but it will only happen if you keep moving forward.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Again, some people say, hey, I'll just cruise, for example. But again, there's no such thing as cruising. Like you cruise, you go backwards, right? Right? Because, things are always going forward. So if you're not moving forward, you're just going backwards.
Yes.
Right? So it's always about taking that step forward. I think that's exactly what you said, right? Like precisely, hey man, times can be tough, times can be bad, but the only thing you can do is keep improving ourselves, mentally, keep improving ourselves in our work, right? And yeah, man, amazing, right? I love what you just shared, bro. So tell me, man, so, right now, you recently became a dad as well, right? During COVID too? During COVID as well, right? So among all that stuff, your wife got pregnant. Was that, was that a joy? Was that a little bit stressful? Tell us about that, man.
I think it was joyful.
Yeah.
It was joyful. Of course, I cannot say stress or I cannot say negative stuff, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But I think, we have been wanting to have kids for a long time.
Okay.
So finally, kid came.
Great, fantastic.
But at that point, we had so many things going on. I mean, it's never a right time.
Yep.
It's never a right time. In fact, even for investments, it's never a right time. Quitting your job is never a right time. Yeah, you just got to do it and then embrace it. Yeah. So I mean, we just go with the flow.
Yeah.
As per what we always do.
Very, very interesting, man. Very
Yeah.
interesting. And tell me, man, so, now, maybe moving forward, bro, right? Looking forward, right? Like, you've done, the stuff, recently, you made some very, very big investments yourself, right? He recently bought a very, very nice landed property himself with him and his wife.
Guess who's?
Okay, so the story very simply is, as we got connected many years ago,
Yeah.
but basically the story is, he bought my landed property, which I got in 2020 and everything, right? So he's the new owner of my place, right? Which is a cool story, right? So very beautiful home which he now owns, right? Which is great. Congratulations, brother. Right?
Congrats.
Amen.
Congrats to your profits as well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But anyway, so
Yeah.
that was one. Yeah, man. So what's the vision moving forward, brother? Like, where do you see yourself? Like, maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years, what is the vision? What do you want to build? Your own life, right? House makeover. Like, what is the big vision that you actually have, bro?
Actually, I think it's been very fulfilling. Helping people, growing their portfolio. I see lives change. It's exactly what I do when I was teaching. So after I left teaching, right, I felt like a bit lost. Like I'm dealing with numbers, dealing with investments, data, tenants. I was a bit lost. Like after a while, it's like just so empty, right? Yeah, I got more money, but then money is not everything. Then that's how accidentally also I chanced upon real estate as a platform to continue to change lives. Yeah, and that got me really excited. So actually I started working a lot more, longer hours than when I was in teaching.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're doing what you love.
Yes, by doing what I love some more, right?
Yes.
And it's so fulfilling, and you still make more money than ever. So I think the money is just a byproduct, right? But the giving of value and all is what keeps us going and going, right? Yeah. So actually, I kind of got lost. What were we?
No. So the vision moving forward.
vision, yes.
So in adding value, that's great. But what's the bigger plan picture? Like where do you see yourself, man?
Yeah. So I really want to continue to do this because I love what I'm doing. I love to change life, impact life, right? So that's one area, right? To try to help more people, to try to continue to go down because it's a journey. Yeah. When we help someone sell or buy property, it's not just that's it. Right, it's not a transaction; it's a journey. So how I see it is, we want to continue to see them grow. We want to see them, improve their lives, to be able to quit their job, to have options in life, and that takes time. And to be able to serve more means I also need to grow a team. I need to do well myself as well. I cannot be just talking about it, selling something, but yet doing something else altogether, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So I also need to ensure that my portfolio is also solid now. So I also need to take care of my own portfolio growing. So I think buying the landed property is just another milestone. Yeah. Initially we didn't think too much, when we first started. Like all we thought of was, how to own a condo. Then it became 2 condo. Then it became like 7 properties. And then after that, we thought to ourselves, maybe we can buy landed. So we bought the landed. And then now we're thinking to ourselves, now we buy the landed. We're not going to start at 1 landed. We got 2 names, 2 landed.
2 landed, huh?
Then,
hey, let's go.
Yeah, and that's not going to be it, right? Because how do we get to GCB in the end, right? So these are like, we're trying to push boundaries already.
Wow.
Yeah. So
GCB, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it's a dream lah, and
course,
I
of
feel that it's so important that we must dare to dream.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Then we work towards it, right?
Yeah.
Even if I'm nowhere close, at least it's going to be much bigger portfolio than my HDB.
For sure. Dare to dream. Push the boundaries, think bigger than what you currently are at, and that's how you'll get there, bro. You'll find the solutions, you'll find the methods and how you can get there, right?
Yeah, meet the right people.
Yeah. Absolutely, bro. Meeting like-minded people. I think that's, bro, I'd share with you something. When you dare to dream, when you dare to push boundaries, you'll meet people who are at those levels that you can dream of. You see what I'm saying, right? When you're speaking a vision of 100 million, right? I want a GCB, I want a dream big. You attract people in your life who are in that path. You see what I'm saying? Right? You kind of will, no, you will filter, bro. As in, even in my journey, your journey as well, right? You know, the people who you'll attract a different group of people, right? When you dare to dream, when you dare to push boundaries, and when you are actively working towards that, like, this kind of opportunities will fall in your lap, right? I really believe that as long as you keep taking the steps forward, these people will come in. Again, your people, the people around you, are really what will determine your altitude, right? again, this is never a one-man thing, right? Like the reason why you are here today is because you have the people around you who trusted you.
My wife.
Your wife,
Yeah, we're
right? Your
aligned.
wife, your family, your wife is aligned with you as well. And that's how you really push boundaries and really, take the step forward, right? So, man, dude, you always got to have that big vision, right? In the good book it says, man without vision will perish. So it's really about having a very, very big vision, and that's how you pull more people forward in achieving their big goals and dreams. So I'm very, very glad to hear that, bro. Right? I think, again, the strategy is great, property and all that. That's his platform, right? But again, it always comes with a mindset first, right? Nothing comes without a mindset, right? Whatever the vehicle might be. So, bro, so coming back to, I love your vision, I love what you're sharing and everything, but let's come back down to the common man, right? Who's like, Sean, very, very, very inspiring. I love it, right? I want to start, but what are some actionable ways in which I can, maybe, let's just say, for example, right? A guy is sitting down and he's like, okay, cool, I maybe have $50,000 and I really, really want to start. What is some strategies that he can actually employ to get started on his property investing journey, to maybe make his first $1,000, $1,500 passive income, and to really be able to scale that? What are some actionable things you can do?
They can start by attending your course.
Oh, attending my course. Sure.
Right, scaled at 50K to 500, 5 million.
Sure.
Then they have more.
And then, hey guys, you all listen to it, all right?
Yeah.
Very, very important. But okay, cool. Back to property.
Yeah. Okay, I think more importantly, a lot of people, they actually have a home. Yeah, a property. Right? Home ownership in Singapore is like one of the highest in the world, or in fact, the highest in the world.
Cool.
All they need to do is to optimize what they already have, not to seek for more.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of people, a lot of portfolios that we see, right, when they sell their place, they will easily free up about 500K. Yeah, more than that 50K, it's like 500K worth of money that is stuck in a home, plus some money in the CPF OA. If they have another 50K cash, liquidity, that's better still, right? Because with 500K, you can do a lot of things. You can easily up your portfolio now to $1.7 million property. Yeah, so from 500K originally, now you can own something at 1.7 million. Yeah, and that's how you can grow, you see. Because if today you only own one property, whatever size it is now, and you're still young, right? If you hold on to it for the rest of your life, thinking that this is like your forever home, then forever that will be your portfolio now, because most people, 80% of their portfolio is stuck in property. Yeah, then they work every day, 9 to 5 for that fixed income. And then guess what? Maybe by the time they retire, not much of it is left anyway. That means 80% of their wealth is still stuck in the property.
Exactly.
So then if the home is something that defines how much wealth or net worth they have, then the more they should be growing that, asset or that portfolio, right, to as big as they can. Because eventually when they retire, they will have options. They can continue to stay in where they are staying, and probably, fall back on their savings or other kind of investment to retire. Or if let's say today they retire with $5 million portfolio, right? I mean, the home is worth $5 million. They can always sell the $5 million home, downsize to something 1 million or 2 million or 3 million, and still have millions, to retire. Yeah, but that's not what a lot of people think. Yeah, they rather work every day, to save up for that day, which is very sad.
Interesting. Wow, that's a very, very interesting, sharing. Dude, so can I ask you a question? So what are some biggest, as in you did touch a bit, right? But if you were to summarize it into maybe 2 or 3, what are some of the biggest property mistakes that people make? If you were to summarize it, maybe just 3 pointers. You did mention a lot, but what's the 3 biggest, most common things that you see?
They like to time the market.
Time the market, okay.
Yeah, so they are always looking for like this perfect property to buy.
Okay.
Yeah, the perfect time to sell.
Yes.
And that crippled them. Yeah, because when the market is good, right? When the market is good, they want to sell at the highest price. And then after they exit, if the market is good, means they are also going to buy higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then it's like you sell high, buy high. And then if the market is bad, you're going to sell low. then you can buy something low, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if somebody is always looking for that perfect opportunity, I want to sell high, buy low. It's like
It never comes.
Yeah, it never
right?
comes.
Especially
Then
in Singapore context. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one mistake,
Okay.
right? Then
Number two?
they're stuck. Number two, they see their place as a forever home. Right? So when you stay on in your place forever, right, then there's not much growth per se. Yeah, because property also works in cycle. Yeah. So at some point your property doesn't grow faster than the market anymore. It probably grow because over time due to inflation, the value just goes up. Yeah. Then if you try to sell whatever that you have and you try to jump to the next asset class, you realize that it's just so difficult, right? Especially for someone who wants to go into landed, for example, right? If you don't grow your portfolio faster than the market, faster than inflation, then you never catch up.
That's true.
Yeah, and if you depend on just your savings, you'll never be able to save enough to jump. So again, never see your place as a forever home. You need to keep jumping when you can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So these are the two biggest mistakes.
Two biggest mistakes.
Two biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
Very, very nice, bro. Very nice. Okay, that's awesome, bro. So let's talk about one final thing, right? One final thing, right? So there's many different strategies, right? So if I can name three of them, okay. So right now, I think people talk about co-living. It's all the craze, right? Right now, let's do co-living. Let's rent to rent. Second one being maybe getting into new launches, right? People are rushing, like recently we had, Jaden Residences,
Yeah.
right, being, sold at 2,400 PSF, crazy amounts, right? Like,
2007.
2007, right?
Yeah.
That was the average 2004, 2007, but crazy, man, right? And then, of course, you have, a lot of people talking about buying industrial properties, commercial properties and all that for rental, cash flow. And maybe number four, the segment being overseas. So a person is looking and there's all these options, right?
Yeah.
But dude, I don't have money for everything lah.
Yeah.
Right? What is maybe the first, what should I get into first, bro? People are so confused, right? There's so many different options of different asset or different ways to grow a property portfolio. What would be the best first step for somebody who's a virgin, for example? What would you say?
I think first look at our home ground. Yeah, Singapore is a place where foreigners are flocking in to buy our properties.
Yes.
And as a result, the government even have to double the ABSD from 30% to 60%.
Absolutely.
It's a great telltale sign that the government is trying to stop foreigners from coming in, right? Because it's a demand that is crazy.
Yes.
So there's demand in our local properties.
Yes.
And why are we not looking into our own local properties,
Okay.
but looking outside?
Okay.
Yeah.
So within local, then what are the in terms of strategies? Then what do you think would be the best for them to embark on?
The first thing, right, is look at your own residential portfolio.
Okay.
Right, because most people will have a residential portfolio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and residential properties in Singapore, you can use CPF to pay.
Of course.
Yeah. So if you can use your CPF,
Yep.
flush it out to buy a property, then the cash outlay is a lot lesser. Yeah, and then whatever cash that you have in remaining, you can invest in other asset classes. You can learn how to invest like you. Yeah. So residential property, first thing must take care of.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where CPF can be used.
Okay.
And if you leave money in CPF, you're only getting like 2.5%.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but if you put it in your real estate,
Yeah.
okay, you can easily get 10%. Easily.
So you want to make your CPF work for you, and residential, that should be your first primary focus lah, to really see how you can maximize. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's very, very good, start, right? To know how they can really maximize and everything. Amazing. Dude, so if you can end off the entire thing, and I want to ask you this one very, very important question, right? So, if you can tell my audience, who is wanting to start, but, there's fear, there's that doubt, like, oh, wow, it's so much and whatever not, right? Like, what would you encourage, what would you tell the audience to help them move forward?
I think it's so important to hang out with the right people. Yeah, because you see, you can ask the right question, but to the wrong person, you get a wrong answer.
Yes.
Or you ask the right question to the right person
Yes.
at the wrong time, you also get a wrong answer,
Sure,
right?
sure.
But if you hang out with the right people, like all the time, eventually, you can't. I mean, even if you fail, you won't fail as bad. Yeah, I think being in a circle where everybody is what you envision to be or who you want to be is important. Yeah, so being in the right circle.
Be in the right circle. I always believe that, man. Sometimes it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
Right? It's about who you know and who knows you.
Yes. It's not the what, you see.
Yes.
I think it's the why.
Yes.
The why is so important. All the what, like how to do it, who can help you. I mean, all the real estate agents can help you to sell,
Sure.
buy, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, they can give you all the answers. You can Google them. You can go and ask ChatGPT. Yeah, but if your why is not strong enough, right, then you never get moving.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So true, so true, so true. So, bro, so I want to ask you this question, right? So, maybe in your entire journey of dealing with tenants, so many different properties, right, here, overseas, and all that stuff, right? Like, what are some of your weirdest stories, man, of what you had to deal with tenancy and stuff? If you can share them with us, it would be great.
Wow. Okay. Let me see. Weird tenants.
Any interesting stories?
No, it's more like I think some of the landlords that I deal with or that I know, they're very stingy. They want to be landlords, but they don't want to give the tenant things. They don't give proper things. And of course, a law of attraction, you are what you attract. So if you don't want to do up your house nicely, you don't want to provide nice furniture, then the kind of tenants you attract are those kinds that will pay cheap, that will not take care of your things. And then you go about, complaining that the tenant don't take care of things. It's because you are attracting all these if you don't do up your place nicely, then of course the people that is willing to accept a lower a standard of living will be attracted to you.
Of course.
But then if you really want to attract quality tenants, then I would say you first have to invest in your unit. Yeah. But this is something that a lot of people, they don't know, you see. Yeah, they don't think business. They only think about wanting to make money from other people. Yeah, and then that's where, things go wrong. Yeah. So I always advocate to my investors, you are who you attract. Yeah. So if you want to attract good tenants, then you make sure you also serve them well. You do things for them. Win-win. Always go for win-win.
Win-win situations.
Yeah, not one way of winning, then you end up lose-lose.
Interesting. Very, very nice, man. Dude, so, one thing that I feel very, very blessed, just personally, like my own personal story, and again, I think you can relate to this as well, right? Like the importance of starting young, right? So, a lot of my audience, they come from different ages as well. Some people are quite young, some are a little bit older, for example. But can you share with regards to property, for example, the importance of starting young and how that will really, really make a difference? Can you share that and the importance? So, tell the guys, man, why must they start now?
I think when you're young, there's nothing to lose, right? I mean, that few 100K that you have is like, even if you lose them, is on a bigger scale of thing from like your entire life perspective, right? It's like nothing, right? I mean, we're probably going to live to 80, for example. Yeah, so the mistakes that you make as you're younger will not be as painful, as you go down. But if you were to make big mistakes when you're older, then there is not much room to fix that anymore, right? So there is one example. We have some clients who come to us in their 60s, telling us they want to move to a landed, so they're staying in a HDB. They want to move to a landed like us. But when we look at their portfolio, there's not much they can do. It's not because they don't have enough money. Some of them they have, but they don't have leverage. They cannot take a loan from the bank. Yeah, imagine if you want to buy a $5 million house and they're in their 60s, the tenure, the loan tenure is going to kill them because they are only left with maybe another 5 to 10 years, to fully pay off the loan that they take. And that means every month they need to pay over $1,000 of mortgage. It's going to be quite unsustainable for them. But today, if you were to do that when you're in your 30s, your 40s, you have, longer runway, right? Your tenure is 30 years.
Yes.
So that will significantly bring down your mortgage. It makes the cash flow part a lot more affordable.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot more bite size.
Interesting. That's so true, bro. Very, very true, right? In the end of the day, that's the reason why starting earlier is so important.
Yes,
right? You gotta take the steps, you gotta take the risk. If you don't, right, it can be quite, stressful. So,
but again, sorry, it's not all like done, even if they don't do that. Because if we see it as not just their wealth, but family's wealth, right?
Of course.
Then actually whatever that they are not able to achieve in their lifetime, actually what
Their
they need to
children,
do is to pass it down to their children so that the children can continue to fulfill the dreams that they,
And the
they
legacy,
can.
yeah?
Which is what we see these days, generational wealth transfer.
Of course, of
a lot of children,
Yep.
they're getting help from their parents
Yep.
in order to get started.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's so important because why do we even spend like 10, 15 years or rather, why does most people buy HDB, right? Because they got no money. And in order for them to make their first pot of gold in HDB, it takes at least 10 years. Yeah, like us, right? We started when we were 21. Yeah, we bought our BTO when we were 21.
Oh, that's very early.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were foolish. You can call us foolish or not, right? Thankfully, we're still together. And that's why we have our HDB. Yeah. And then, of course, it took us 11 years to see through the entire the first journey, right? First property cycle, and that's how we got our first pot of gold.
Wow.
But if there's a way to shortcut this, right? I think it's really getting money from other sources. So it's not about how much resource you have, but how resourceful you are.
Very, very nice.
So if our parents can help us, or you can get money somewhere.
Oh, bro,
you can get
21
started.
years old, as in, sure, but you actually, like, y'all were serious, 21 years old, that's like, you're barely out of NS, and that's when you actually first
I was
got
in
it,
NS, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you actually did, like, get your HDB and everything, like,
Yes.
the resources must have been tight, the HDB also must have been quite
Super,
crazy.
yeah. Even at
Wow.
300k, it was like, wow.
Yeah, exactly,
no
it's
money.
crazy, bro.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
how do you, what made you take that step, bro?
I think it's again the mindset, you see. So I told myself, hey, even though this is my first girlfriend, then I decided to make her my wife. I mean, because the fact that we want to buy a BTO means, in a way, I'm like
of course.
shotgunning
Serious.
the whole thing, right?
Sure.
Yeah, she's gonna be my wife already. So I told myself, okay lah, I should grow to like something, grow to like what I do, right?
Okay.
Grow to like the person.
Sure.
Yeah, so just went for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy, bro. That's very early. That's an early start, brother.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
For
yeah,
real,
yeah.
for real. Wow, that's amazing.
Paid off.
Sorry?
It paid off.
It did pay off, man. Looking back, it did pay off.
Yeah.
So talking about the wife and everything, right? So, when you talk about working very hard and all that. So now with the family, with kids, how do you believe in a work-life balance, or, how do you manage your time?
Oh, I think I'm the last person to talk about work-life balance.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought after I quit teaching,
Yeah.
I would have a lot of free time.
Okay.
But I end up working even longer than when I was before.
Okay.
But the thing is, I don't feel tired when I'm working longer hours. I think that's because, I love what I do.
Of course.
So it keeps me going.
Yep.
Yeah, but then sometimes I work so hard and too hard that I don't spend enough time with my
Your loved
friends or
ones,
my
yeah,
families. Yeah. So I think when I realized that, I decided to just put one day in a week to make sure that I spend time with my family.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually every Monday or Tuesday, because for us we weekends are like the time where we are crazy. Actually, not just busy. Yeah. So we just set aside Monday or Tuesday to spend time with my daughter, with my family.
Very nice.
Yeah. And of course I make sure I work out, 3 to 5 times a week.
Very nice,
Take care of
very
my health.
Very important, bro. That's
Super.
always very, very important priority.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Thanks for letting me know, man. Yeah. So Sean, what are some, people have all these thoughts and everything, right? So what do you think are some 3 of the biggest myths people have in regards to investing in property in Singapore?
Okay, so yeah, the first one being property is only for the rich, right? Yes, it's no doubt that the rich, most of them owns property. But it's all a chicken and egg thing, right? If you don't get started, how are you going to get rich?
That's true, man.
Yeah. So I think you just got to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like how I did it, I started with HDB, no help. It takes time to build, that pot. But the moment I accumulated that first pot, that's how things just get faster and faster, right? I made my first 300k, took me 11 years. But my second 300k took me only 3 years. And I didn't just make 300k in 3 years because concurrently, we had multiple properties, right? So within that 3 years time frame since 2019 to this year, we made about $1.2 million. Yeah, from the various properties.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it really just become faster and faster.
Okay. So the secret is just you got to get started, lah.
Yeah.
Right, you got to get started, right? With whatever the amount, whatever that you actually have, get started, get moving, and that's how you really move forward. And once you actually see the snowball moving, then it starts moving a lot faster as well. That's
Yes,
great.
yes.
What's number 2, maybe?
Number two is property is risky, right? I think like anything else, right? If you, let's say driving, you don't have a license, then driving becomes risky, not just for you, but to the people around you, the pedestrians and the other car users. Yeah, so likewise, property investment, yes, it's risky if you don't know anything. It's risky if you work with the wrong people. But if you get the right guidance, you know what you're doing, then yeah, it's no longer risky. I mean, you can mitigate the risk. Nobody say that everything is guaranteed and confirm you won't lose money, right? But what we need to do is to learn how to mitigate the risk. Yeah, as much as driving also comes with risk, but that doesn't mean you don't drive, right? Yeah, I mean, you still want to learn how to do it. You learn how to mitigate those dangers and reduce the risk. So likewise for investment, real estate, or any kind of investment, it's about learning. Once you can bridge that knowledge gap, I think it becomes so easy. Yeah.
And maybe number three, if I could ask you this question, right? So people always have this myth with regards to industrials. You really cannot make money walao, the loan tenure 30 years, 20 years, or whatever it is. You know, can you really make money? Maybe cash flow, you get some pittance here and there.
Yeah.
But, you know, can you really make money as compared to buying a residential, for example? So what is your experience? Like, you are a practitioner, right? So can you share some of your personal actual experience?
Okay, so profits in real estate come in three different ways, right? Number one is capital gain, which everybody know, right? You buy at this price, you sell higher, the difference is your capital gain.
Yes.
Number two is actually principal paid. So as you're paying your mortgage, part of it goes to interest, another goes to principal paid, right? Which is actually paying off your property eventually. Yeah. So that principal paid portion, if you are someone who buy and sell regularly, then you will be able to access that principal paid portion, which is also part of your profit, especially if you were to lease it out to tenants. Because tenants are the one who is paying your recurring fees every month, including mortgage. And the third piece is actually your positive cash flow. Yeah. So if there's any net difference after you collect your rent and you net off your monthly recurring fees, that difference is what we call the cash flow lah. Yeah. So profits come in these three different parts. And industrial property, no doubt because of the tenure that is dropping, which will eventually depreciate the value of the property. But don't forget, there's still positive cash flow and there's still principal paid when you sell. Yeah.
I see.
So very hard to lose money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. Dude, Sean, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate all the sharing, a lot of tips, a lot of advice. You know, again, a lot of my own mindset being shifted as well in my head, right?
Thanks
so
for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And dude, can you please share one more time with the audience your socials? How can they actually follow you? How can they follow your journey?
Yeah, I think I share a lot on IG. So you can follow me at The Life Educator. Yeah.
So make sure you know the link, his Instagram and everything is down in the chat below, right? So The Life Educator, make sure you follow him. This guy is off to, you know, very big places. So make sure you guys follow him. And one more time, guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more of such amazing guests as well. And of course, please leave your comments down below. If you have any questions to ask Sean, right, please leave it down below and Sean will be able to answer your questions too, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Till next time.